Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit. Now it's time for me to talk about my little thing here.
Yeah.
My little thing. Thank you, Radford Castro. He is our director of engineering here at the Twit Brick House. So the best-selling tablet right now by a large margin is this. Even better than the 10-inch. This is the iPad Mini, the 7.9-inch tablet from Apple.
Selling like hotcakes.
Selling like hotcakes. But there is a new tablet in town that I think is going to start taking some of those sales away, and this is it. Google announced it last week. This is the Nexus 7 tablet from Google. This is the successor, the 2013 version, the successor to the first Nexus 7. Google has it made by ASUS. You know, the first one was designed and built in about 5 months, or 5 weeks, I think it was, very quickly. And ASUS has had now a year, and Google's had a year to kind of improve the design of this, and they have done everything right. The first thing that's going to jump out at you on this is a 1080p IPS display, 1920 by 1200. That's 323 dots per inch. It's the highest resolution small tablet on the market today. It is just spectacular, and you got to see it probably in person because it really looks good when you get images on it, when you get text on it. If I launch the Kindle application, you can see how books look on it. It's just very crisp. No dots visible at all. 323 dots per inch. Apple would call it a Retina display. Now, you're seeing on the video a little strobing. That is not visible on the screen. That is just an artifact of the frame rate of the camera versus the frame rate of the Nexus 7. It is rock solid, crystal clear. They've added some cameras. So the original Nexus 7 had this front-facing camera. They've moved it a little over to the right. It is 1.2 megapixels. Nice high-def front-facing camera, and they have added a 5-megapixel back camera. Very good quality camera. This looks great. I don't know how many times people use tablets to take pictures, but given the size of this tablet, the ease with which you can put it even into a pocket, this might be something you'd end up taking a lot of pictures with. And it comes with the traditional Jelly Bean camera application. Quite good, quite easy to use, quite fast. I have to say, you might end up taking more pictures with this because it has a camera. Great battery life on this, too. They put a 3,950 milliamp hour battery in it. That's a big battery. 9 hours of active use. Basically, I've had this now for 4 days. Charge it up at the beginning of the day overnight, and I don't plug it in again until I go to bed. It's got great battery life. And I've already ordered a Qi charger because it says wireless charging built in. So you could put it on any compatible Qi charger, and it'll just charge up. Pick it up, put it down. They've also added stereo speakers, so left and right speakers with Fraunhofer surround sound. That's something new. Inside, a very fast Snapdragon S4 Pro running at 1.5 gigahertz. That's a quad-core processor. Excellent GPU in here as well. And I'll give you a little taste of the GPU by playing a video game. This was one of the games that Google demonstrated when they showed off this tablet last week. This is from Ubisoft. Prince of Persia takes advantage of OpenGL support on here. I think already you can see how great the screen is. Those of you in studio with me can hear how good
this
the
thing is
music
loud.
sounds. It's loud. Of course, you'll plug in headphones. No small tablet's going to give you great sound. But it is, it's stereo sound and so forth.
But this is something where you could play a song on it and leave it on the counter. And,
you know what I do is
audiobooks.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I wish it had front-firing speakers. It's too bad it's so dark because you can hardly see how good this is. But we'll get into the light. Oh, I'm going to have to fight a battle. I hope you don't mind. I'm just a little busy right now.
You're taking down this hairy house and
the reason I'm showing this. Oh, you. The reason I'm showing this, we're turning up the brightness a little bit so you can see some of the detail, is that this is a very competent gaming device. And I think one of the things the iPad does so well is it's a brilliant gaming device. Now, admittedly, Android doesn't have the variety of games yet, but I think given the quality of this display, the speed of the processor, you're going to start seeing more games on this thing. And it certainly does everything Android does so well. Google Now, of course, is built in, Google Speech, and so forth. This is the 4.3 version of Jelly Bean, the Android operating system, which means it has built in the multi-user capability. And, of course, Chromecast is supported by it. So if you run Netflix and you have a Chromecast, you can play stuff from it. I've been playing Google Music like crazy from it. Very snappy. I think you can feel how quickly it loads, how quickly pages go. Let me go to Flipboard, which is a kind of a challenging app because, of course, it's very graphical. And you'll see how quickly I'm able to scroll through images.
Wow.
And it feels really good. This is a fast, effective, small tablet. One of the, I think the best I've ever used, certainly the best 7-inch I've ever used. Now, one of the things they're doing, this is a 16 gig version. When it comes into your hands, about 12 gigs free. That's one of the nice things about pure vanilla Google Android is it's not very big. It doesn't have a lot of crap on it, so you've got plenty of space. I think 16 gigs may even be enough for most people, unless you're going to put very large files on it. I have my Audible books on it. That's probably the biggest thing I have on here, and it's fine. I haven't run out of room. I can get easily two or three books on here. It will have 32 gigabyte version soon, and they are going to make. By the way, 16 gigs is $229, and that's important. $30 more than the original Nexus 7, but you get a whole lot more than $30 more worth of value. For another $40, unlike Apple, they don't charge a whole lot more for more storage. You can get the 32 gig for $269.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think that's a great price.
That's like movie theater price.
I know, $40.
For only $40 more, you can have the large.
You can have the large. And they are making an LTE version. That'll be $120 more. And the nice thing about the LTE 32 gig version is it works everywhere. This is the first we've seen with LTE radios for North America and Europe, for Verizon and AT&T, all in one device. There'll be a SIM card slot right here. And so that makes it very desirable. Both 32 gig and LTE versions are coming down the road later. I tell you what, I'm pretty happy at $229 with this 16 gig tablet. I gotta give you pros and cons. The pros, the best screen ever, 323 dots per inch. It's super fast. Video games are great on it. I kind of bought it, to be honest, as a dedicated Simpsons tapped out playing machine. And at that price, you could almost do it for that. And it is great. I mean, Simpsons tapped out runs so beautifully, so smoothly on here. The detail is fabulous. You almost feel like you live in Springfield. Built-in GPS, which is also nice. Apple does not put a GPS in its Wi-Fi only models. So you can use the Google Maps, a gyroscope, an accelerometer, compass, ambient light sensor. This is a loaded device. So the pros, you get a huge amount for an amazingly low price, a great, very highest resolution screen we've seen on this side. All right, I got to find a con. One con.
Yeah.
One con, they could have made it a little bit smaller. See how big the bezel is on the left and right-hand side. Google says they did that so you can hold it and play games like this. It just gives it a funny aspect ratio. It feels a little tall and stretched because it is 16 by 9. And so as a result, I would have liked these to be a little bit smaller. Imagine if you get the bezel down to just about the size of the screen, this thing would feel like an amazingly tiny thing. It still is pretty tiny.
Yeah, smaller than the Mini.
Yeah, it's small. Okay, now this is something to point out. The Apple stuff is 4:3 aspect ratio, so you do have more dots on the screen. You don't have. The resolution is higher, but it's still only 1024 by 768. So we're talking something like 200 dots per inch compared to 320 dots per inch. There's a big difference here.
Yeah.
So, you get a little bit more screen size, but you don't get more screen real estate. If you prefer 4:3, of course, you're going to want to stick with Apple. Another thing people sometimes mention when they talk about tablets and Android, it used to be that the lack of tablet apps really hurt. This is back in the days of Honeycomb.
Yeah.
Nowadays, almost all apps scale perfectly well, even if they're not tablet-oriented. For instance, I'll show you Carbon. This is my favorite Twitter app on Android. And when you launch it the first time, they say, "Oh, we're so sorry. This is not an Android app. We apologize that it is not. I mean, it is an Android app. It's not a tablet app. We apologize. But we're going to get a. What do you need? This looks great to me. I don't think this is. Then that's the beauty of it. Android apps scale to fit a variety of arbitrary size screens. I don't think it's really an issue. Maybe it doesn't rotate. Maybe that's the one thing that you'd want in a tablet app. Most other apps do, including, of course, Jelly Bean rotates just fine. This is fast. It's easy to use. The only negative, big ears. Hey, I like a lot of people with big ears. It's not going to stop me. I'm going to say it's a buy at $229. This is a remarkable tablet.
What is the biggest upgrade from the last Nexus 7 for you? From last year's, like how is this better? Screen.
By the way, a point we should make: the Nexus 7 from last year was starting to get sluggish for a lot of people. Me too. It really felt slower and slower, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. Google finally explained it when they released the upgrade to 4.3, they built in something called trim into the operating system, which does garbage collection on the SSD. Without it, SSDs do get slower and slower. But you know what? I put the latest Jelly Bean upgrade on my old Nexus 7, and it's just as fast as ever now. It really fixed it. And, of course, you won't have that same kind of lag.
So you think between that and the Snapdragon, this will age better than the last
absolutely. This is a super fast tablet with a gorgeous screen. And even if you've never used Android, I think you'll find that the difference between iOS and Android has shrunk to such a small size. Almost all the apps you'd ever want to use are available on Android now, including some apps that are not yet available on iOS, like, well, Google Now is available on iOS, but it doesn't work nearly as well as it does on Android. So this is a definite buy. An amazing tablet. It just blows me away what they've able to do for $229. In fact, at this point, I'm going to not only say that people should get this instead of the iPad mini, but there's a lot of people who are looking at inexpensive Windows computers or Windows RT computers for $300 or $400. They say, I can't spend more for a computer. This is what you should consider. Think about a tablet. You can get a keyboard for another $100, and you've got probably a better system than that cheap PC that you might be looking at. So a definite buy for the Nexus 7.